Well, hello my friends, subscribers, people who have been listening to my video vlogs for a while. I hope you all had a pretty peaceful holiday without too many squabbles in the families and so on. And it's always a mixed bag, as we all know. So let's move on. It's past the holidays, and it's just going to be a little rant. I have a few days off, so I'm pretty happy about that. It's a little bit less stress than what I'm used to. So a long-term subscriber of mine has kind of challenged me to make some sort of a response to his vlog. And hi Louie. So I'm gonna do this, and hopefully I'm gonna talk about some other stuff. It's just a rant. This is non-scripted stuff here this time. And although, you know, I don't like ranting all the time, because it gets old after a while, you know. But you know, maybe it's called for this time. So let me jump right in regards to the entire subject of Bernie Sanders and socialism, and what my commentary would be. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to launch your video and your questions or your statements, and then we'll just go from there. So give me just a minute. Here we go. Here's your video, and hopefully people can hear the audio. I can't turn it up any more than this. So let's just hear what you have to say.
Now, it's just funny, because, see, they equate socialism with big government, which is a total lie. And Bernie Sanders was the only person sticking up for us.
Okay, point one. Yes, and I actually agree with that. Here's exactly what Bernie Sanders said on the floor. There is a war going on in this country, and I'm not referring to the war in Iraq or the war in Afghanistan. I'm talking about the war being waged by some of the wealthiest and most powerful people in this country against working families of the United States of America, against the disappearing and shrinking middle classes of our country. The reality is that many of the nation's billionaires are on a war path. They want more, more, and more. Their greed has no end. And apparently there is very little concern for our country, or for the people of this country, if it gets in the way of the accumulation of more and more wealth at the top. Today, the crooks on Wall Street, the people whose actions, illegal actions, reckless actions, have resulted in millions of Americans losing their jobs, their homes, their savings. After we bailed them out, the CEOs today are now earning more money than they did before the bailout. Some of the major corporations are recording record profits, while the middle class of this country collapses and the rich become richer. The United States now has by far the most unequal distribution of income and wealth of any major Western country on earth. When we were in school, we used to read the textbooks which talked about the banana republics of Latin America, about countries in which a handful of people owned and controlled most of the wealth in these countries. Well, guess what? That is exactly what is happening in the United States today. So this was a quote by Bernie Sanders. And yes, I have to agree. He is completely dead on the money here. He is absolutely right about it. So I have no qualms about this statement. None. And I support what he says because it's the goddamn truth. So back to your video.
Okay? But you know, it's not fashionable to stick up for Bernie Sanders like it is for Ron Paul, or, you know, it's the same thing with the Reverend Wright. You know.
No, it is very definitely not fashionable to stick up for Bernie Sanders, and I recognize that. Okay, but okay, let's go on.
And vloggers, you know, are more popular vloggers are afraid to stick up for the Reverend Wrights.
Well, first of all, you know, I wouldn't consider myself a popular vlogger on here. I mean, I get, what, 300 views if I'm lucky on some video of mine. So my subscription numbers on my channel mean absolutely nothing, okay? I mean, people have come and gone, and all that is just trash anyhow. But going back to the subject here, in terms of the Reverend Wright, okay, I, for one, actually agreed with most of what Reverend Wright said and stood for. But you have to remember that Obama himself essentially went against Reverend Wright. So in other words, he sold out one of the influences in his own life for the sake of power. And that's troubling to me. That is very troubling to me. Back to your video.
Because they're afraid their viewers probably are already brainwashed, but they do agree with Reverend Wright. But Reverend Wright is not acceptable to accept. See? And Bernie Sanders, we don't know about him. See, I like to hear Ella, you know, making a video, or one of the popular vloggers, not to put anybody on the spot, but, you know, speaking on behalf of the Bernie Sanders, or you know, explaining that, hey, we're taking away their taxes. Obviously, I like what Ella said. She said that it has to do with revenue, and that's going to be the next issue. The Republicans are going to say, well, how are we going to fund the government?
Well, okay, then back again. You know, this to me is no longer even a Republican or Democratic issue anymore. If you've got somebody like Obama in power who sells out, who basically sells out on every issue of importance in this country, which includes giving a free ride to the Bush regime, not looking into the past but looking forward, giving a free ride to the banksters. I mean, it's just impossible to even discuss this. These partisan politics mean absolutely nothing, because both parties, in my opinion, are completely bought off by the very banking elite which controls this country. And this is precisely what Sanders is talking about, by the way. So, and, well, the thing is, there's so many lies out there. Like, you know, Obama is a socialist, you know. I mean, nothing is more idiotic than this, because Obama has basically has sold out to the banksters himself. I mean, why do you think he's surrounding himself with all these ex-executives? It's a revolving lobbyist door in Washington today. And nobody can even get to that place, including Obama, without kowtowing to the elites, to the financial global elites. So that's the fundamental problem here. It's not, I mean, our country is essentially being destroyed from within. So I really don't know how we're going to solve these problems through the electoral process anymore. I mean, people like Bernie Sanders or Kucinich or Ron Paul aren't even taken seriously by the elite. I mean, they sure, they get some airtime on C-SPAN or, you know, a little blip, a 10-second blip on some newscast, but the fundamental problems in this country are not being discussed. And they're never going to be discussed in the commercial press, because the commercial press is owned by the very corporations which now control our government. So that's all I'm saying. I mean, these solutions, I don't have the solution for this. I mean, I really don't. I think the corruption in this country has reached a point where the entire enchilada has to collapse. And this is not a pretty prospect, I might add. You know, if you look at the collapse of Argentina and so on, and yeah, we're talking about coming austerity programs here in the United States, you haven't seen anything yet. And yeah, yes, I do agree with Bernie Sanders. But the problem is, you know, the general population in this country has been brainwashed for the last 50 years that if you even mention the word socialism, it's something bad. I mean, you're considered a goddamn traitor if you even mention the word. And you can't, in some 10-minute YouTube video, re-educate or enlighten the masses as to what the hell is actually going on or what has been going on for the last 50 years. I mean, you and I both know this, but you can't change this kind of thing overnight. It's virtually impossible because the propaganda has gone too far. You know, people here in the United States tend to equate socialism with totalitarianism, which is, you know, it's mind-blowing because it doesn't have to be either or. This financial robber baron bullshit going on, or complete central control of the economy, you know, by the proletariat. There is a middle ground. And for a short period of time in Western Europe, that middle ground was found. But now, even there, all of it is being dismantled. So, you know, Louis, I really thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak on all of this, because these are humongous issues facing all of us. And there are no easy solutions for any of this. You can change things incrementally, but the way things are going now, in the short run, and I'm talking short run, maybe, you know, 20 years or so, I really don't see much hope of anything changing. As a matter of fact, I see things getting much worse. But I appreciate your videos and your commitment to make things better. I think that's what we all want. But what we first need to realize at this point is that we no longer live in a democracy. I mean, this is all bullshit. And we no longer live in a republic for the people and by the people. That's all been completely vanished under the big bus of Neo-Feudalism. So we're not moving forward, we're moving backwards. And for that train to stop and to get into reverse gear is going to take a few generations. It's not going to happen overnight. It doesn't mean we can't give up the fight, but before the majority of the brainwashed sheeple wake up, and some are beginning to do that now, things are going to have to get a whole lot worse. And, you know, the tendency in history is once things get worse, then people, it can go either way, you know. People will either throw off their chains or they will clamor for strong leadership of some kind, you know, some kind of messiah. And that hasn't worked out in several countries. Although, well, I don't even want to make these cliche arguments here, but thanks for letting me speak on this issue, and, you know, let's keep the dialogue open. Good night.